Good evening, good evening. This is New Era Gardener. How's everybody doing? What's up, what's up, what's up? So, it's been a little bit since I actually did a video. Had a lot of things going on, but I figure I'd make a quick video tonight. Just to look at some bins. So, these bins are about a month away from being harvested. This is supposed to be harvested on 2/13. It may be harvested, probably will be harvested this weekend. As you can see, if you can see into the bin, there's enough light. This bin is pretty much ready to go. It was probably about 4 inches of bedding, but if you look at it now, the worms made quick work of it, and it's probably about 2 inches, maybe 3 inches of product of the bedding, and it's ready. It looks great. Good moisture still to the bin, but it's ready. So I'm going to take these worms over the weekend, and I'm going to harvest this particular bin. Beautiful looking worms. Nice worms in here. They're happy with the moisture content that's in here. So probably over the weekend, I'm going to harvest this particular bin. So, and once again, the bedding's going to be the alpaca manure with all the same things that I always put in all my bedding, all the minerals and coconut, not coconut coir. I don't use the coconut coir anymore, but I use the alpaca manure. I shred it up, and that's what they're living on. That's what they're eating all the time. So it's the alpaca manure, and it's peat moss. So this particular bin is just about ready. I'm happy with it. I don't think they're going to really make much more work of what they've already done. So this is a bin that's ready, and it looks good. So, like I said many times before, I noticed that with using the bedding that I'm using now, I can actually turn over a bin a little bit quicker. As much as I wanted to go to full 3 months, the moisture is good in here. I can add moisture to it, but I don't want them to start to feel like there's no room in here for them. There's no more food in here, and I don't want to add more food to it. I don't want to add more bedding to it. It's pretty much done. It looks good. Nice black gold, the castings, and that's what we want. Nice, beautiful castings. Looks good. No mites problem in this particular bin. So I'm happy with that. Good population. It is a bin that I do want to actually bring up the population, but there is a good population in here. So it looks good. I'm happy with that. So that's bin number 1 that we're just looking at. And I'm just going to go over these bins that are mostly in between the 13th and the 18th, 218, and we're going to see where they're at. But this particular bin, it's ready. So we're going to harvest this one out this weekend and make good work of that. All right, so let's check into another bin and see what we got. All right. Okay, we're back, and this is bin number 2. Let's see what we got. This bin also looks good. If you look at it, it is a lower level bin. It has good moisture that I can look on top. It's got a nice color to it. If I lift it up, you can see the difference in the color from what's down here to what's on top. So the moisture down below is real well. Good moisture. As you can see also, the level is a whole lot lower than when I start my bins. So this is another good bin. Looking at this bin, product looks good, but this is what I would call an iffy bin. It could probably go a little bit longer. Still has some alpaca manure, but these are the beans that didn't get broken down when I shredded it. But it looks good. I'll probably just go ahead and harvest this one too, because it looks good. It's got good moisture. Worms look beautiful, nice fat worms. This is another bin that needs a little repopulation, but it looks good. No issues in this one either. I don't see any mites. Might see some fruit flies, but other than that, but these are nice, beautiful worms. They're doing extremely well in here, so I'm going to this one actually harvest it also. And I mean, I usually try to go 6 inches. The mark on the sides, if you can see, that is the 6 inches I like to keep my bedding at when I put it in. This bin might have been a little lower than the 6 inches. Might have had maybe about 4 or 5 inches, and it's probably at now probably about 2 inches of bedding. So definitely needs to be harvested, but the product looks good, so we can go ahead and harvest this one too. So but it looks good, and that's what I'm just looking to see what the product looks like and see if it's time to harvest. And it looks very good moisture. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest this one also this weekend and get what we get out of it. Put the worms in some new bedding and turn it over and get them going. So that's bin number 2. So that looks good. And these 2 bins I showed you were started roughly around the same time. I believe this one is the should be harvested on 2/18. So we're still, like I said, about a month away, a little less than a month away. But I'm gonna go ahead and harvest this based on the way the product looks and the amount of bedding that's left in here. So they made good work of it. So it looks beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna grab another bin. I have another bin that's supposed to be done on 3/18. We'll take a look at that one also. Let's get at it. All right, this is bin number 3. This one is supposed to be harvested on 2/18. And if you notice what I noticed right off the bat, this one probably had more bedding in it. When I went to pick it up, it's a whole lot heavier than the other ones. We have some worm activity on top. A couple of worms floating around in here. But if you can see in this particular bin, before I start to mix it up, there is still some paper in here. So they haven't made quick work of this one. And this one was done probably, because this is 3/18 and the other 2 was done on, should be harvested on 2/13. So you have about 5 days in between. 5 days isn't going to make a big difference, but it's also about the population and the amount of bedding. And this particular bin, I'm going to say I probably put in, it was the 6 inches of bedding based on what's left in here right now. But I'm going to give it a stir. We're going to see what they look like. We're going to see what the bedding looks like underneath. Is it full of newspaper, of the paper like we're seeing on top? Or are they just hanging down at the bottom where all the food is? So let's take a quick look at it and we'll just turn it over real quick. Oh yeah, there's no paper down there. A lot of worms. Yeah, there's really no newspaper down there, but it looks good. And it also could be the fact that the population in this one is not really large, but from what I'm seeing, there's quite a bit of worms in here. They love the corners. They love hanging out at the corners. So, but it's looking good. I can tell, just from looking at it, if the product is ready. And you can tell when your castings are ready also. But I can look at this and see that these castings aren't ready. They're not all beaded up like the other two, sandy looking, which are the castings from your worms. So this one I would say, no, it's not ready. This one will probably go to full term based on what I'm seeing. But good moisture. Looks good, feels good. So yeah. So I'm happy with that. But like I said, this one does have a little more bedding in it, where the other two probably had not as much bedding. I try to fill the bucket up, but my buckets, I actually like to do them ahead of time so they sit a little bit, get a little mature. With the newspaper and peat moss, it gets a chance to ferment a little bit and kind of meld together and kind of let the organisms kind of do their job and kind of activate everything, get everything going good, get a good biology in there. The one thing I don't see, and you guys can comment on it. This particular bin also, I don't see any mite issue, no mites flying around. I mean, I don't see any crawling around, so that's a good thing. Mites aren't a bad thing. You're always going to possibly get some mites based on what you're using. But the one thing that I was going to talk about is that I don't see, and I did not see, in all three of these bins that I actually just went through, are cocoons. We have a lot of big worms, a lot of nice, I would say, mature worms, but I don't see any. I don't see any cocoons. So, leave a comment. Tell me, what do you think the problem is? Why aren't we getting the cocoons in here with the good population? Is it, some people say, oh, it's cardboard. Some people say it's the eggshells. I don't use the eggshell in my bins, but I do use crab meal, which is almost like having eggshells. The eggshells are calcium, where the crab meal is more chitin base for the bins. But I do shred it. I do blend it up real fine into a powder almost, and add it into the bins. So if you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. Tell me, what do you think is one of the reasons why, or multiple reasons why, we do not have a whole lot of cocoons in here when we have good population. So I know that there's great moisture in the bins, so that's one thing out. They're definitely fed because they're living in their food, so they're constantly feeding, so that's not an issue. I know the alpaca manure is full of all different type of microorganisms and things like that. I also add different minerals to it, so you're putting in other minerals. So there are things being added to it that makes the environment very inhabitable, very alive, full of nutrients for the worms, for the microorganisms that are in the castings. So what do you think is one of the reasons or multiple reasons why I'm not seeing the cocoons? I'm very shocked not to see the cocoons, and that's probably why in these particular 3 bins they do need to be populated a little bit more. So, but I'm just wondering what that is. But this is New Era Gardener. I appreciate you checking out the video. If you like the video, like it, comment, subscribe so you can see what I'm putting out, so we can see when I start a new bin and how's it going, and any issues that come up, and also in the end, how did the harvest go? So you can see that by hitting the subscribe button, and you can see all the content that I'm putting out. But mostly I'd like to say thank you for everybody liking the videos and subscribing to my channel. We got a lot of good things coming this spring, so with the garden and things like that. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of my garden this year that I haven't done before. Things that I do and try, and my compost that I make outside. And we'll see what's going on. So once again, this is New Era Gardener. I appreciate you stopping by, checking out the videos. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks.